Let's talk Giants. Xavier McKinney, David Mayo, both go down with injuries. Both were projected starters. Xavier McKinney is out 10 weeks, 2 to 3 months with a fractured foot. What the actual F? David Mayo has a torn meniscus, which I've been down that road, David, and it is not, I don't think it gets better. I think Garofalo or someone said that he will get surgery. It'll just be trimming down the meniscus, which I've now torn meniscus twice, both playing football on artificial turf, both the same knee. First time was a bigger tear. Second time was a tear. Each time they just keep trimming it down. It does not regenerate. It does not grow back. You are more prone to tearing the meniscus again. So it's definitely weaker. It's not something that you can just, with an ACL, I had a ACL from cadaver. I think it was the same operation that maybe Tiger Woods had. No big deal. Humble brag. That is something where the meniscus is just something where it just never grows back and just keeps going down and down and down and down. So hopefully, I mean, he's at a higher probability of tearing it again, but they're putting the timeline for him at like, he'll be back on the field in 3 weeks or so, which that just means back on the field. I don't know that it means like back in the starting lineup in 3 weeks. McKinney, though, that's a huge blow. I mean, you had all kinds of freaking people left and right saying that this dude is going to be like all pro, Pro Bowl, defensive rookie of the year. I mean, just all the accolades, give them to him now. And nope. I mean, maybe they get him back in November, most definitely December. Who knows where the team's at that point? Don't get me wrong. I am fucking bummed. It is awful news. That said, I know that depth has been a concern for us, but I don't feel as bad knowing that we still have Jabril and we still have Julian Love. Julian Love was kind of positionless. They said he can go wherever. He can go here, slot him anywhere. I think this takes some of the pressure off of him personally and maybe even off the coaches. As much as the coaches like to tout like this mystery defensive scheme that they were going to throw out there, I think there's got to be a certain degree of relief for at least from Love and the coaches to say, okay, we know. Love, you are the free safety. Jabril, you're the strong safety, or vice versa, whatever, and just go from there. Holy shit, though. I was starting to convince myself and talk myself into thinking like, hey, this defense is going to be, it's got teeth. It's not going to be last year's defense. We're not going to be soft. We're going to be tough. We have McKinney, who's basically Isaiah Simmons, with all the additions we have. And then I heard that someone mentioned or brought up in the presser with Joe Judge that like something happened to friggin' Blake Martinez now. I didn't even bother looking at it, but he missed practice. Great. Unknown ailment. Son of a gun. All the good vibes I had, all the positive vibes I had about this upcoming season and what we were putting out and the product that we're putting out. It's like, taking all the wind out my sails. The media just can't get enough. Not just the local media, not just New York sports media, but everyone across the country just can't get enough of how Joe Judge is like completely flipping the script on training camp and practices and all that shit. You know, the people making a big to-do about how he said, you know, there were headlines about how he's considering having Daniel Jones practice without the red jersey. The red jersey is, you know, you put him on the quarterbacks and it's like a big old stop sign, red light to defenders saying, don't hit this motherfucker. We need him. Don't get him injured. People lost their goddamn minds. But the takeaway from that was that he just wants, there are no preseason games, folks. If you were to ask I know, was it Jim Kelly, maybe Aaron Rodgers? There are a lot of top echelon quarterbacks who are like, my head is not necessarily in the game until I get that first hit out of my system. When I take that first big hit, then all the nerves come out and I'm able to play my game. That's not every quarterback, but I know there's a healthy portion of quarterbacks that would think, you know, they tend to play tentatively until they get they get punched in the face, and then it's like, all right, let's fucking go. And I think that's the message that Judge was saying was not like, hey, we're gonna unleash the dogs on this dude, but we do need to pop him and let him know to be able to take a hit and throw and feel comfortable taking hits. So I completely understand where he's coming from. It's just like the NFL has progressed to a point where they want to minimize the level of injuries they're seeing, want to cut down the concussions. And so they're taking a lot of physicality out of the game, both on the field, but in the practice and training camp. So what Judge is trying to do is like push the limit and envelope on that as much as possible so that we don't come out and play soft. I get it. I don't know why the media can't. Art Stapleton, who is one media member I tend to like. This was yesterday. He tweeted out Joe Judge on backlash from saying he'd like to get Daniel Jones and other Giants quarterbacks some hits some way before the opener against the Steelers. Quote, I've got the strength staff downstairs right now putting bars of soap in socks, and we're just going to take them out back and wail on them for a while. Little shout out, Full Metal Jacket, no big deal. Yeah, I mean, this is yet another reason. And like, I get it. We could come out and go 0-16, and then people are like, Joe Judge is a fucking idiot, or he doesn't know what he's doing. But everything he says and does, I just love. He's like the complete opposite of Pat Shurmur. Shurmur would have scoffed and rolled his eyes and would have looked down at the media and give some kind of condescending bullshit answer. This is like a little bit of humor. I get a Bill Parcells vibe from him, and I fucking love it. I'm head over heels. With all the secondary issues that we've been having, we signed cornerback Brandon Williams, and I think we invited in KeiVarae Russell. Williams was selected by the Cardinals in the third round of the 16 draft, tested well at the combine, 4.37 40, 5'11 and 197. Russell was originally drafted by the Chiefs, but he was waived 1 week into his rookie season, which is kind of a red flag. He landed with the Bengals, where he played 20 games over 3 seasons. Then he spent part of last season on the Chargers practice squad. He's 5'11", 192, ran a 4.44 40, 38-inch vertical leap. I'd imagine of the two, Williams might actually get to see some playing time. We also signed Prince Smith, who was waived by the Eagles last week or a couple weeks ago. He was a 4-year starter at New Hampshire, won the Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jerry Rice Award Watch List Rookie of the Week in 2016. So, I mean, he put up some good numbers there. But again, it's New Hampshire. It's like, what else is going on up there? They're throwing bodies. They're signing guys. They're waiving guys a week later. It's like Joe Judge ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that, but especially Joe Judge. So he's bringing guys in, seeing how they flow, seeing how they mesh, seeing how they gel, and if they don't work out in like a week, he's like adios. You know, he either sees it or he doesn't. And I like that he's got a vision. He knows what he wants. Brings the guy in, doesn't work out, peace. I mean, it's cold-blooded. You know, he's not wasting any time. He's not dilly-dallying. He's not trying to he's just going for it. And you know, whatever sticks, which I'll get to. You know, the surprises galore that I think Paul Schwartz of the New York Post was talking about. He's like, there will be surprises because he seems to be unorthodox with the way he approaches the game. And he doesn't give a shit about prestige, legend, any of that. He's just like, if you can do what we want you to do, or we can coach you to the point where you are playing the best out of everyone, doesn't matter what's your name, how much you're making. Which is just like really good to hear. DeAndre Baker's legal drama takes another bizarre turn. According to, I believe, Pat Leonard, New York Daily News, no one in Florida is interested in pursuing charges or an investigation against anyone other than Baker, who has maintained his innocence. And that includes Dominic Johnson, who was the one who was like paying everyone off, all the witnesses off. Quentin Dunbar avoided charges. And he says that he appeared to defend Baker. So he remains on the commissioner's exempt list and has an arraignment scheduled for the day after our opener, September 15th. Just when you think it's like, it's not looking great, it's like, well, you know, Leonard apparently calls one county sheriff's office, and is like, hey, why aren't you doing this? And they're like, well, it's actually this county that's supposed to be handling it. And they're like, well, we never heard from this other county. And they're like, actually, we did hear from this county. It's like, oh boy, what are you doing, Florida? Get your shit together. Sports Illustrated had 5 bold predictions for the 2020 season for the New York Giants. First one is that Daniel Jones throws for more than 4,000 yards. It's about as mild as you can get. I don't think that's very bold considering what he put up in only 12 games last year. I think they can easily hit 4,000 yards. Number 2, Leonard Williams records a career high 8 sacks, which that would be nice. I mean, last week I said, you know, if he gets between 5 and 10 sacks, is that going to be enough for you to sign him to a long-term deal and throw a lot of money at him? I don't know. PFF also had tweeted out that here are the QB hits among interior defensive linemen since 2015. Fletcher Cox at 64. Aaron Donald had 93, and Wright sandwiched in the middle in the meat in that sandwich. 82, Leonard Williams. So Williams has 82 QB hits, is second most among interior defensive linemen in the past 5 seasons. Sacks, dude. We need sacks. This popped into my head just now, but like they showed a clip from camp. Jones throws to Ingram for a touchdown. It's a beautiful toss, beautiful catch for a touchdown. But people are also calling out how good Dexter Lawrence looked on that because he threw around Zeitler and put his hand up. But what's the end result, folks? It's like, it's great that he got pressure, I guess, and he was able to put his hand up and he looked like he won that battle. It's a touchdown. I don't want pressures. I don't want hits. I want sacks, baby. Pure, unadulterated, hardcore sacks. Okay. Horny much? Saquon Barkley will rush for over 1,500 yards and win the rushing title. Kind of a bold prediction. I mean, win the rushing title is interesting. More than 1,500 yards I could see. So I don't know if it's that bold. Winning the rushing title is bold, though. When you have someone like Ezekiel Elliott running behind that friggin' offensive line for the Cowboys, I think, he's probably got a better shot at it. But so that's pretty bold. They also said McKinney will win the Defensive Rookie of the Year, which you can scratch that off the list unless he has a fucking ungodly December. And the Giants, this is the last one. The Giants will have a winning season for the first time since 2016. Whoo, baby. Would I love that for that to happen? But with Martinez missing practice and Mayo going down, McKinney going down, I was like, I don't know, dude. I was inching closer and closer. I initially, when the schedule came out, had them at 7-9. And then you start to hear some things. Jones putting on some muscle, Saquon looking beastly, McKinney and everyone just like, Nick Gates looks like he's going to be the guy at center. It's just like, all right, moving up to 8-8. And then the next week, it's like, 9-7, lock it in. Best case scenario, I love it. I like it. And now it's, probably going to go back to 7-9. So this is what I referenced earlier. Paul Schwartz from New York Post, he wrote an article, said that there will be surprises galore on the Giants roster, which is like, oh boy. He mentioned a few names, basically saying that Joe Judge doesn't tend to speak highly about his players or get into much detail about a lot of the star players, but that he has he's more inclined to pump up and talk highly about the undrafted guys or the guys that no one's really paying attention to, like David Sills, the fourth, I believe. He's 6'3". The wide receivers coach called him a rep stealer. And I saw another tweet saying that he continues to make plays left and right. And just when you count him out and you think that's all you're going to see out of him, like, oh, great, he made a play. He just makes he continues to make plays day in and day out. And it's just nice to see that we got a receiver that's above 6 foot, a nice, tall, big target that could possibly make an impact that we haven't seen in since Plax, right? 2007, 2008 Plax. I mean, I can't think of another receiver that was big, tall, that could be a threat in the red zone. So it could be nice to see Sills make the squad. Alex Bachmann has kind of like a Wayne Chrebet, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type vibe to him. They call him a 6-foot dynamo. So he's bigger than Edelman and Welker for sure. People have referred to Bachmann as a 6-foot dynamo from Wake Forest. I did see one video of him. Daniel had a beautiful pass down the right sideline and Bachmann pulled it in. Austin Mack is another guy that has been highly touted and praised, undrafted rookie free agent from Ohio State, quote unquote, a super smart guy, which, Joe Judge has repeatedly said whenever he's been interviewed that he wants intelligence. He wants football smarts. So it doesn't hurt Mack's chances there. We had mentioned they recently signed CJ Board. He's a speedy 26-year-old receiver with 4 games of NFL experience with the Jaguars last year. Really has speed off the ball. There was a lot of criticism from people about the Giants receivers last year not getting separation, like Golden Tate. Amazing after the catch, but he's got to get open for the quarterback to throw to him so he can make a move and get away. I think the same could be said for possibly Shepard. I don't know about Slayton, though. Slayton seems like, I guess Slayton didn't really get a lot of separation either most of the time. So to have a guy like Board who has speed off the ball makes me think that you can get that separation quickly initially and could be a threat like on slants, flats, whatever, short 3-step passing options that he can then turn into big gains. The last name mentioned, Javon Leake, undrafted rookie running back out of Maryland, could be our starting kick returner. We had mentioned it last week, like who's going to return punts and kicks. Was it going to be Peppers, Tate, and it might end up being Javon Leake. I don't think a lot of people were counting him in the mix at running back because we already have Barkley, Lewis, Gallman, Elijah Penny. Is Leak in the mix there? I don't know. And then Devontae Downs, who is a 24-year-old former seventh round pick of the Vikings. I watched some highlights. I think it was David Solo of Giants and Lions put out some highlights from Devontae Downs on Twitter, and he looked pretty good. I think he's undersized, but he doesn't play undersized. I mean, he was making some head up, chest on chest hits that made me think that he could be a surprise starter alongside Martinez if Martinez doesn't have whatever the hell's going around, the injury bug. Oh, here's another tweet about David Sills from Adam Johnson Jr. Adam Thielen isn't that fast, but his route running and knowing the defense's smarts is what separates him, and I see David Sills the same way. Oh, interesting. PFF also released their list of each team's most underutilized or underused players. For the Giants, they had Kaden Smith, tight end Kaden Smith. Took advantage of his opportunity late last season when Ingram went down and developed chemistry with Daniel Jones. Man, it's hard not getting excited and pumped about the Giants offense when you think about all the weapons. But we've been doing this. Like, come on, Neal. You're better than that. Come on, Giants fans. We're better than that. Every fucking year since 2015. I mean, it's since Odell came on the scene. So 2014, Victor goes down. We were so excited to have Victor and OBJ. We only got him for like 2 games. So then 2015 comes around. We're like, we have the best receiving unit. We have the best offensive weapons. OBJ, can you imagine Cruz and OBJ on the same field? And then, Cruz gets hurt again. Missed that season. Cruz comes back from 2016. He's obviously lost a step, but we still think, holy shit, we've got OBJ, Shepard, and Cruz. Like, how do you beat that? And then, our offense kind of was not at the level that we all thought it would be. 2017, we bring in goddamn Brandon Marshall, and we think, okay, now we have Brandon Marshall, OBJ, blah, 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 and Evan Ingram. Like, how do you defend that? Well, everyone goes down hurt. That's how you defend it. It seems like every year we get so hype about our offense, and every year we get let down. So you know what? Temper your expectations this year. Just push it down deep. It'd be nice to have Kaden Smith and Evan Ingram on the same field for 16 games. Will it happen? Probably not. We'll finish up with this. PFF projected all 32 starting lineups for the 2020 NFL season. This was on August 24th, so this was obviously before Mayo and McKinney got hurt. So we'll try and slot in who my picks are for those two. But not many surprises on offense. Jones, Barkley, Shep, Slay, Slayton, Tate, Ingram, Thomas at left tackle, Hernandez at left guard, Gates at center. So it looks like that is pretty set in stone. It's Gates and Pulley. Jalapeno is like working out for the Texans, so I don't think he's in the mix. But you got to give the edge to Gates, the alpha male. Zeitler at right guard, and then it looks like they're slotting in Cameron Fleming at right tackle. But as we'll get to in a little bit, it's kind of up in the air. I think that, you hear Mark Colombo, the offensive line coach, talk about Matt Parrott, and he's dropping profanity in his description in a positive way. I don't know. I mean, that's like kind of hard to not feel like Parrott is going to eventually win that battle. On the defensive side of the ball, we have Leonard Williams, Tomlinson, Lawrence, which that is like, you hear those names and you hear all the praise being heaped on these dudes. And it's like, how are we still such a horrible defense? It looks like they're going to give the edge to Fackrell over Lorenzo Carter, who could be on the outs, unfortunately. And the other edge goes to Golden. And then you have Martinez in the middle, and then Mayo was slotted as the starter, but it looks like it's going to be a battle between Ryan Connolly, who a lot of people have just like counted out for whatever reason, even though he had such a great 2019 start to 2019, showed some flashes. But Devontae Downs, the guy that we mentioned in the previous segment, he's going to be battling with Connolly. And then you have Tay Crowder, who apparently has shown some flashes here and there. So should be interesting to see who eventually lines up there. It might just be slot in whoever is best against whatever eventuality you think is going to happen. Jesus, that's a long-winded saying. Like in this 3rd and 6 situation, we believe that Crowder's the guy. And in this 2nd and 11 situation, we believe Connolly's the guy. I think you're going to see multiple people kind of fill in there. Bradbury, and then they have Ballantyne as the CB2 on the other side. Julian Love as the 3rd cornerback / safety, and then Jabril Peppers and McKinney. So now you have McKinney out. Love slides into the safety position. And then who's that 3rd corner? This feels wrong. I feel like they're completely just overlooking Darnay Holmes. I think Darnay Holmes is the 3rd corner. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's the 2nd corner. Although you did see, was it Benjamin Victor, another tall, big guy, torch Darnay Holmes on a deep throw. But I mean, it's one play out of how many plays that you will have in camp. It's so out of context that you can't really make any decisions on it, which I believe Talking Giants has already talked about. Like, you just can't give a take on one play from hundreds of plays that are happening. So, but I would suspect that Darnay Holmes gets a lot more playing time. There was also some mention of like Chris Williamson. Yeah, I think the secondary is still that 2nd and 3rd corner. Those are, for me, are still up in the air. PFF said that the starting spot up in the air is right tackle Cameron Fleming. There were 3 main competitors, Gates, Parrott, and Fleming, but Gates is obviously probably going to go into, he looks comfortable at center, so let's just fucking go with it. You know what I'm saying? So that leaves Parrott and Fleming, and the writer, I forgot to get his name, but he gave the nod to Fleming primarily because of the experience he brings to the table. Parrott was strong in pass protection across multiple seasons as a starter in college. A lot to like for him developmentally, which is, it's been the mantra since day one with him. Developmental. Needs to add play strength. Things could get ugly if he's forced into early action. Should still factor into the competition. Fleming has turned in PFF grades below 60 in limited action with Dallas each of the past 2 seasons. So I would view Fleming more as insurance. And, it's like with everything that you're hearing about Parrott, and the pictures you're seeing, it's hard not to push for him to just get the starting job. And then if you're not going to like immediately cut him or release him, I mean, throw him into the fire. He's got Thomas on the other end that he can lean on. And then if he falls short, you got Fleming in the wings. I guess the thought process is you put Fleming out there, and if he stinks, then it's like you have to go to Parrott. Either way, I still feel better about this offensive line than I have than previous offensive lines. So